Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and this is Just Genealogy. So, every day of my life lately, like for the past 190 days, I've been trying to figure out what to talk about. And sometimes people provide me information that allows me to move forward and talk about something. And sometimes I just have to wander the warehouse and see what I have and see what I could talk about. And this is one of those days. As I was wandering the warehouse today, I was thinking about handwriting. And what a terrible thing it is that we don't teach cursive in school anymore. So that means that if I live long enough, I'm going to make a lot of money interpreting handwriting because nobody will be able to read handwriting. I don't think I'll live long enough, but if I can teach my grandchild how to read handwriting, she might be able to make a fortune in her old age. But even if you are familiar with handwriting, colonial handwriting is a real pain. And the only way that you can become a good reader of colonial handwriting is to actually practice it and actually do it and become familiar with the records and what you might expect to find in the records. Now, there are several good books out there on handwriting. There's Stryker Roeder's Understanding Colonial Handwriting. It's very inexpensive. It only costs about $8. Then there's Kip Sperry's book on reading early American handwriting. It's a little bit more expensive at $36, I think, right now. And that's a great book. I have it in my library. One of my issues is that I'm so used to reading colonial handwriting that I don't need the books anymore, but I had to learn how to use it, and Sperry did a good job of helping me. But since then, there's been another book that came out in 2015 as a second reprint. It came out before that also. It's by Kent Bailey and Ransom True, and it's called A Guide to 17th Virginia Colonial Handwriting. And since I focus largely in Virginia, this turned out to be helpful to me. And it is actually full of samples of handwriting. It's got pages and pages of things that look like this to give you some idea about what things are. But I will tell you that this is a great book, and I highly recommend it. And it's got lots of things that will be very helpful to you, even for example, abbreviations of first names, those kind of things. But the most important part of the book, though, is the part of it that talks about how to use this guide. And so basically, these two gentlemen taught themselves how to read colonial handwriting by finding, in the first thing they started with was Beverly Fleet's colonial abstracts, which of course are typed, printed, published, and they sat down with that and the original record that Fleet was describing, and then deciphered the handwriting based on the guide that Fleet was providing, because obviously Beverly Fleet knew how to read colonial handwriting. Have you ever seen his colonial abstracts? And that's how they went forward. So they designed this book on 17th century Virginia colonial handwriting based on their experience of learning how to interpret Virginia court handwriting. And if you've never looked at court handwriting before, or even if you have looked at court handwriting before, to the uninitiated, it is daunting. To the individual with practice, it's only semi-daunting. In other words, today I can sit down with a Virginia court document and decipher probably 95% without trouble, but then all of a sudden there's always that one word, or there might be two words that, what is this? And then I can do something like turn here, and sometimes I do find the answer in here, and sometimes I don't. So this book costs $14, so it's very inexpensive. It's worth having in your repertoire because it's very difficult to be a genealogist who has any experience in pre-typewriter records. without knowing how to read the writing. And I am an advocate for the constant transcription of your personal records, those in your genealogical collection, so that you don't miss any of the nuances of the records. It never fails that if you don't transcribe a record, your brain will just go right over something that it doesn't understand. Whereas if you transcribe it, you have to stop and figure it out before you go further. And one of the nice things about doing that is that generally you're in a place when you're transcribing it that those other records that surround that record are also around, and you may be able to find clues in another record as to what that actually means. So, Virginia Court Handwriting, 17th century type, excellent book, published by the Virginia Genealogical Society, very inexpensive, thick as pamphlets go, full of illustrations of actual handwriting and things that will be helpful to you in your research. So this is Craig. This has been Just Genealogy, talking about another book. That's what I do. So I think we've exceeded the 500. I'm not really even sure anymore. We've exceeded the 1,000, so we're getting there. Please tell your friends. I appreciate your help and assistance in spreading the word about Just Genealogy. And I especially appreciate it if you've subscribed, liked something, or hit the bell so you get notified. We had a live stream yesterday, or I guess now it's day before yesterday. And just 3 people showed up. I would like a lot more people to show up to live streams with their problems so that they can get more interesting. And by problems, I mean genealogical problems. We're there to help. It's easier to help somebody when there's a group of people because everybody knows a little bit about everything, I think. And some people know a lot about something. And we're able to add to the conversation from all sides. It's just not me talking. I mean, every other day of the month, I have plenty of time to do that. So thanks again. Stay safe, and I will see you tomorrow.